A warm welcome to the second man flu edition of a Podful of Saints. Actually, it's our 31st edition of the season. On Monday, the 12th of February 2024, we're still suffering David Tavener here. And over there, the news bloodhound, Jake Ellacott.
I wouldn't be sure about that, but I can't believe we've had 31 of these already this season. Goodness gracious me. Hello, everyone.
It feels like 50.
And there you heard the dulcet tones of the man for all beers, Lee Wood.
The man for all beers. Very good. David, Jacob, how are we, boys? Excited?
We couldn't be happier. And that's another 6-0 win. They're coming like buses at the moment, aren't they? Certainly more often than the postman, anyway. Right. Let's have a look back then. A glorious weekend for the Saints. A 6-0 win on Saturday, a 7-2 defeat for the girls on Sunday. So a magnificent 8-7 aggregate victory for the club. There should be street parties. Right, Saturday. Lee, all right, I understand you weren't there from earlier discussion. You would have seen the highlights. You would have spoken to people. What's the general take you've got on the game?
Well, I'm not going to comment. I'm just going to leave you two boys to sort of dissect it because I was watching a bunch of knuckle-dragging Neanderthals kick 7 shades out of each other on Saturday. No, before you start, I wasn't frequenting the pubs of Hemel. I was at Twickenham watching the rugby. So I'm going to let you boys crack on. I'm going to sit here, drink my beer and listen to your dulcet tones for a change, Tavs.
God, yeah, old egg chasers. Lovely. Well, I was bored to tears, Jake, after a quarter of an hour. What was it like behind the goal?
To be fair, Dave, you are wearing almost rugby top, aren't you, there, the size of it? So, first 15 minutes, yeah, it wasn't bad, was it? I know you were bored to tears, but the Saints it was comfortable, wasn't it, really, on the whole, of the game, generally. As you'd expect, we talked about Taunton's problems, didn't we, last week? And I think those problems were even more when we saw the team sheet and their subs, and then hearing about that one of the subs was injured anyway and never had a chance coming on. And at times it was almost like a training exercise, to be honest. I know we won 6-0, brilliant goals, brilliant. It was a really good display, despite saying that. But it's the sort of games I said to someone earlier, actually, that it's all well and good playing well and scoring goals against Torquay, Yeovil, etc., and trying to knock at the door at Hampton. But if we are to do anything this season and get a top 7 finish, we do need to put these sort of teams to the sword. And I think it's fair to say we did that, even if it possibly could have been more.
Yeah, 6-0 before the game against the side. They'd actually drawn their 4 previous games and 3 of them in the league. And they kept 2 consecutive clean sheets. And so 6-0 is a magnificent result, really. Oh, but my goodness, if only we'd played the way we had against Torquay and Hampton. Keep a passing game. We did a passing game, but we went back to as we were the first half of the season, doing it in our own half. Taunton were on the rack throughout. Like, they had 2 or 3 chances, mind you, particularly first half, and could have had a penalty for handball against Michael Clark, which could have changed things. But if we played the passing game in their half, you can't help thinking so many more chances would have come our way. As it was, Shaun Jeffers, his 6 hat-tricks for the club, penalty in there as well. Lovely own goal by Dan Ball. Zane Banton chipped in with his 39th league goal for the club, and Ibby Akanbi scored a lovely finish right at the end there to make it 6. But as we say, you felt City, they just played within themselves, didn't they, Jake? We got those 2 goals in 15 minutes, both for Shaun, and it was too easy, and the players knew it.
It was, and to be fair, I don't think you'll find many fans podcasts that have a complaint when their team wins 6-0, to be fair. So this is a bit of a rarity. Actually, I was quite content with the display. I thought we did try and go forward at times, maybe not as much as we did against Torquay. But then on the counterpoint, I'm not too fussed if we do save a little bit of energy looking at the games we've got coming ahead. I think the key on Saturday, as you say, Taunton, they've kept, they don't exactly get hammered most weeks. That might change in the future with the way things are going there at the minute. But recently they haven't done. And I thought the key was scoring so early on, breaking that. That's basically what we didn't do against Hampton, wasn't it? Actually get a goal ahead and sort of give them something to try and chase, even if Taunton didn't really. But it worked really well. 2 goals up, I'd say it was comfortable. Michael Clark penalty probably should have been, and it has to be said. First half, we did have a couple of shaky moments at the back. It wasn't totally perfect at the back like we had seen in other weeks, but we were clinical. We took goals, and it was nice to see us taking commanding lead. Because when I think about last couple of seasons, how many times have we had real struggles against teams in the bottom 7, 8 positions when we've been trying to chase a top 7 finish? So really happy in that regard.
It's not that many weeks since we had quite a considerable negative goal difference. And here we are now, is it plus 13 or something? And you really think we should have pushed it up by maybe 4 more Saturday. But it is nitpicking, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It was presented on the plate to us. We could have gone for more. But we take it. We take the 6. And hope it stands us in good stead at the end of the season if goal difference does come into it. Of course, there's always a fear that the game could get expunged from the records. Taunton Town currently facing a winding up order that's been served up on them last month. Just a day or two before their trip to Clarence Park last Saturday, they had a transfer embargo placed on them. It's interesting also, they're now ground sharing with Truro City. They've invited Truro in to play their home games at Wordsworth Drive on a pitch that's hardly the best in the league, and already Truro's first 2 games there have been called off. And you worry again, you think again about the finances of Taunton when you see the coach who came on Saturday. It was a Truro City coach. It's most bizarre. You any fears about them not seeing the season out, Jake, or do you think they'll do it?
I think they'll be okay, but I suspect that might be in partly because I wouldn't be surprised if they go down now, to be honest, because of their situation, and maybe that lets them readjust. I do want to say, just as you started there, Dave, can you confirm you're only happy if we'd won 10-0? Just to keep our expectations low if you wanted another 4 goals. So, we can sort of, next time the lads know what they've got to aim for.
It's not so much for winning, it's like Tuesday's game against Hampton was a far better game, far more interesting, far more entertaining. To me, scores were irrelevant. It's a performance, and I felt we could have given a bit more, but it's ridiculous. I'm going to lose this argument 6-0, so I shan't bother.
Well, can I come in there briefly? I mean, how many times have these lesser sides come to Clarence Park and we're expected to roll them over this season? And it hasn't happened. And they've gone away with a point at worst, and I think it shows the evolution is clear to see. Meakes, he spoke about it. Yes, okay, they've got problems. But we can only beat what's put in front of us. And as Jake said there, possession equals pressure. And at the minute, it's this high-octane football that we're playing is catapulting us up the league. I think at the minute, Tavs, we'd all like to see us absolute smash teams 10-0 if they're there for the taking, granted. But you know what, mate? 6-0, I think it's got to the stage now where you score that first goal. I know it's sad to say, as soon as we got that first goal, that was it. The 3 points was ours. And you couldn't always say that throughout the course of this season. I think that's where we are now with the sort of football we are playing. So performance, yes. But ultimately, it's the place in the division where we've got to be looking at now, isn't it, really, overall, in terms of where our performance deserves us to be. So, yeah.
High octane it wasn't, Lee. It was like watching rugby.
I do disagree. I don't think it was that bad, but I understand where you do come from, David. What I will say is it wasn't amazing, but again, I thought the players out on the pitch, everyone played well. Everyone again carried on that good team performance, good display. Another clean sheet. Maybe we were lucky at times potentially, but how many clean sheets have we kept this season? And it just keeps the positivity going, doesn't it? The fact that since we've lost David Noble, we've had a string of brilliant results, you have to say. So we've added 10 goals as well. That's not bad going at all, is it?
This was the problem, isn't it?
Sorry.
I say this is the problem. Because our performance at Torquay was so stellar, wasn't it? And you said yourself it was one of the best games you've ever seen us play in terms of performances as well. And the scoreline, merited that. I think now, and although the scoreline wasn't there against Hampton, the performance was good as well. Anything lower, anything dips below that bar, there's always going to be, everyone's going to be sort of striving for that. And I think he's got to be a little bit of a context. I know what you're going to say, Tabs, before you even say it. But I think 6-0 at home, mate, it speaks for itself.
I totally agree with that. It wasn't the performance, Lee. It was the mental attitude. We toy with them. We do it in our own half. And it got so boring. It wasn't just me. It's people around me as well. They're all going on bad. But don't get me wrong. We're happy with the 6-0. Look at the individual performances. Another 3 goals for Shaun. If he comes on, scores a great goal, that won't do him any harm at all. Zane Banton, they picked up a stupid booking, but he's chipping in with goals as well. He's got 3 already since he came back from injury. It's good things all through the side. Michael Clark was captain, the third time as captain, lost the first 2 games. I think he tried to lose on
Hey.
Saturday, did Jake? And passes he put straight to the Taunton players. He was their best player, wasn't he?
It wasn't Michael's finest display, was it? To be fair, and we were asking him to do a slightly different job. He had to step into the centre, didn't we, instead of Parsington? So I think that was a slight adjustment. But as you say, few shaky moments, and I'm sure he learned from that. But positives again. Dan Barry and Aidan Francis-Clark. I thought defensively, both of them looked competent or confident, even if they didn't get forward as much as they normally do, arguably. Midfield as well. Rasulo probably wasn't his best game. He was a little bit quieter than we would normally expect. But again, George Hoddle and even Ben Smith both did good jobs in there, didn't they? And if we can win 6-0 on a day when the players don't play quite to their best, but they're all on a good performance, good display, it is what we've cried out for. I mean, I remember the earlier season, just sneaking past teams, losing to teams, etc. Think of the Slough game at Clarence Park earlier in the season. We did make really tough going of it. So I'm glad we managed to get in the position where we did. And to be honest, a part of that, I know we've praised him a lot this season, but is Shaun Jeffers. Those 2 early goals, who else in our team is probably taking those 2 chances? I know the first one, Lino had the flag up, but Shaun's finish for it was superb. And the second one, just a deft little touch. Again, I don't know who else in the squad would be scoring those.
Did we find out why the referee actually let the goal stand, assuming the linesman had flagged for offside?
Yeah, Lino had gone for offside, but I thought the ref was sort of indicating that he was onside, that he'd come from behind the man. So I don't know. Otherwise, to be honest, when I saw it in real time, I thought it was onside, and I was surprised to see the Lino's flag go up. On the replay or on the highlights, it's too hard to tell, isn't it, really, if he's onside or not?
Can I say, on the highlights, it looked as though the defender, it come off the defender's head.
Yeah.
So even if Shaun was offside, it come off the defender. He's onside then, isn't he?
Yeah, it could be that
think
was what it is. Yeah.
But again,
Yeah,
it's
that's
I'm
probably
looking at the highlights because I was 10 pints deep. So yeah, but it's good. It's all good, fellas. 6-0.
Yeah, so 9 games unbeaten now. Is it 1 defeat in 14 in all competitions? From where we were just before Christmas, magnificent turnaround. And it's 4 games with John Meakes and Harry Wheeler as his coach. 11 goals scored, only 1 conceded. We're doing it at both ends of the pitch.
Yeah, and it's been a long time, isn't it, since we've sort of been able to say that we have a really solid team throughout, especially defensively. This season, I don't think we were able to say it at all, were we, until the last couple of weeks? And even times at last season, the defence wasn't exactly spectacular, even though we did have a good defence generally. And you just wonder again with the recent run results, how much of that is also to do with Michael Johnson coming back. He made a couple of decent stops, but also what is noticeable is just how commanding he is back there. He comes for balls. He's out his box early. We saw at Hampton that coming out the box early maybe doesn't work every time, but he does give, I think, the players in front of him a bit more confidence that they can rely on him to be there and make those stops and make those grabs and make those claims if they can't quite get the ball.
Yeah, you did right. 3 successive clean sheets, 3 goals conceded in the last 6 or 7 games if you chuck in Hart Senior as well. It's a pretty good record.
It is. Dave, I mean, when was the last time we won 6-0 at Clarence Park? It was a little while, wasn't it?
Oh, it's got to be at least a month.
In the league. In the league.
Oh, in the league. Should we go for having a Waterlooville during Ian Allison's early days?
I mean, what? Talking about 2016-ish?
Yeah, that'd do. That'd do.
I mean,
Incredible.
It's not bad going, is it? 8 years.
No, it doesn't seem that long, does it? I mean, that run when we got out of trouble there, it just seems like yesterday still. So that was based on goals being scored and whatnot. And we're going full circle, aren't we?
Yeah. And also another thing I'd say before we go is, again, the substitutions. I know they might not have been perfect, but it was good to see proactive substitutions with attacking players coming on, not sitting back as well. I know they may not have all had perfect displays, although I thought Ibby Akanbi actually played really well when he came on. It was his cross that set up the 5th goal as well, the own goal. But it was good to see John Meakes make those changes, not be afraid to throw things about a bit, give minutes to other players. And I think earlier this season we've talked about, hadn't we, how David Noble just seemed to be a little bit unsure maybe with his substitutions compared to last season. So I thought it was good to see John Meakes doing that.
Yeah. We had a new signing, didn't we? Day or 2 before the game. Young lad from St Ives. And his name is?
His name is
Benjamin Mensah.
it.
He's a former Peterborough United kid, basically, wasn't he? Been playing for St Ives recently. No experience at this level, so how does he fit into the squad?
Yeah, bit of a random one. I was going to ask Lee that. I don't know if you can see how he fits into the squad. So it was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
When we looked at it, I'm wondering whether Zane's been sort of wasted in that sort of asking to be pushed back a bit in that defensive wing back role. They want Zane a bit more further up the sort of field. I'm not saying that this is related in any way, but Ryan Blackman's partner is about to sort of is due to welcome a child into the world. So maybe he's going to be out of the equation for a bit. So maybe they push Zane into the middle. Maybe they don't want to exhaust George because he's played a lot in a short space of time. Then maybe Mensah comes as that sort of marauding fullback that we've always been wanting since the days of Tafari and Devontae. But again, it's just adding quality to the ranks, isn't it? You know, okay, it's been a while since he's played at a particularly higher level. St Ives, okay, a good pedigree, but not a great one. But they obviously see something in him that he can thrive within these conditions at Clarence Park. And I'll tell you what, mate, if he wants to come, we'll welcome him with open arms because we want players who want to play for us here now. Again, youthful, young, fast, energetic athletes. That's what we need.
Somebody saw him early this season playing for St Ives. He played at right back and he's left-footed. Interesting. So presumably he can play either side then. But anyway, we wait to see what young Benjamin can do.
I suppose it's worth saying he scored a couple of goals, I think, this season for St Ives from fullback as well. So it might show he is willing to get forward. And he did come through Peterborough, didn't he? And I think Sky Sports linked him to Tottenham a couple of years ago, didn't they? From a tweet I saw online. So you never know. And from what we understand actually as well is a couple of other clubs at our level were also interested in his signing. So could be a bit of a coup potentially, but it's good to see. I think we mentioned it 2 weeks ago, didn't we? We weren't sure about if the club were going to strengthen during this interim management, whatever we want to call it. But it's good to see the club doing that and willing to improve the team and maybe suggesting the path we're going down. So that's really good to see.
Marvellous. Right. Now we look forward to this coming Saturday, 17th of February, one of our favourite trips, if not the favourite trip of the season, really. Taunton Park, home of Bath City, that wonderful old ground. Still survived various attempts to get it changed down the years and turned into plastic pitch and whatnot, but it's still hanging on in there. It's a good old grass one, bit of a slope on it. And potentially one of our toughest games of the season. They slipped up a little while ago, but they bounced back lately and created a club record, actually. 3 successive 1-0 wins as they await us, but they got a county cup tie in between this recording and Saturday's game. And the goalkeeper they brought in, whose name escapes me for the moment, played 4 games, hasn't conceded a single goal yet. Are we decide to change that record?
I think so. I mean, if you think about it, you've hit it on the head there, Tavs. It is without doubt our best away day. Everyone looks forward to it. Historic Roman city, steeped in heritage, beautiful river flowing through the heart of it, wonderful people, brilliant pubs. Sound familiar? But the thing is, it's just that clash, isn't it now? It's the proverbial 6-pointer. 2 good teams who like to play football. If you'd have said to me a month ago we would be above them in the league, I would have absolutely snapped your hand off because the transformation that we've now undergone has been that dramatic. I was sort of looking at the future fixtures, thinking where we're going to pick up points here, you know, and I didn't see Bath as potentially being anywhere near that. But now the confidence that we've got within our ranks, I can't see. We've got to play extremely badly in order for us not to come away there with something.
Well, they won a pretty dull game at the Park early in the season, 2-0. So obviously they're looking to be doing a double. 2 points behind us. They got 2 games in hand, but they are on a good form. What do you make of it, Jake?
I think it's going to be difficult. It is quite, I think, telling their recent couple of games, they say 1-0. They don't seem to be going out there and sort of really scoring any goals at all, apart from the odd one. Sounds like their winner on Saturday against Dartford. And we have to remember, this isn't a great Dartford team they played. Dartford team who are struggling themselves with an interim manager. Sounds like it was a bit of a mistake at the back by those guys. So, you'd just be interested, wouldn't you? If we go there and play the same style of football that we did, particularly at Torquay away and maybe Hampton, I think that we can cause them real trouble. I think we have to be wary. I think they have got some good players, although they sold probably their best player, Jordan Thomas, a really young wide player who'd really come through the ranks and starred this season. Sold him to Cheltenham a couple of weeks ago. But I think we can cause them trouble. Twerton Park, I say it's a great away day, great stadium. Normally a good pitch as well, so hopefully no issues there. And also, I think quite importantly, it's quite a wide pitch, isn't it? It's a bit like Clarence Park, get a lot of space, a lot of ability to spread the ball around. And I think we'll be able to exploit that. Good thing as well, we've got a free week this week. We haven't got a midweek fixture. Bit of rest. The lads didn't, as we touched on, lads didn't exactly push themselves too much second half Saturday. So I think we've got plenty of positives going into the game. Just got to hope we go with the same approach. I think if we go with that really attacking, quick passing football, we can cause them all sorts of trouble.
I totally agree. Bath have got goal scorers throughout the team. Leading scorer is Scott Wilson. He's got 13 in the league, and then you come to Cody Cook, who's got a dozen, and Jordan Thomas, who's got 10. They've got others in other competitions as well. So they can spread it around, whereas, of course, we're relying pretty much on one person at the moment, but as we've shown, the others can chip in here and there. And I agree with you. I think if we go at them, you've got to fancy our chances.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, when we played them earlier in the season, like you said, it wasn't a great game particularly, but I mean, they were pretty much in and around the top couple of places, weren't they then? So they've, as I said, they've had a not a great run in recent weeks, but if we go there in the last couple of seasons at Twerton Park, it's actually been a much happier hunting ground than it used to be with that terrible run of results we had until the last couple of years. And last couple of displays at Twerton Park actually, to my mind, have seen us use the width and get forward quickly. And I think we can do that exactly the same on Saturday. And I'd like to see us. I don't really see many changes to the team myself.
What about you, Lee? Do you see Joe Partington coming back in if he's fit?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. Because I know Scott Wilson from his Macclesfield days and from his Dagenham days, and Cody Cook is an excellent player. We're going to need that experience because those two can cause havoc. I think you've seen a vulnerability in others defensively when Partington doesn't play. Partington has his own limitations, but I think as a collective, you can see what can happen when they form that unit. It's quite formidable. And I think that if Partington is fit, he comes straight back in without question. Yes, take out of Cook and Wilson. But the thing is, you spoke about we've only got Jeffers, but it's the support cast, which is impressive. Bath haven't got that. So I think that's where that midfield battle is going to be absolutely fascinating on Saturday. Your Hoddles, your Bantons, your Blackmans, if he's back as well. Rizzulo needs to I think this is one for him to really sort of stamp his authority and really get back into that form that he showed a few weeks ago as well. But yes, Partington is going to be key to this, I think.
Actually, our first 7 visits to Twerton Park, I think 7 or 8, we didn't score. One of them was against Team Bath, all the others were against Bath City. But now, prior to the defeat at Clarence Park earlier this season, we'd won 5 in a row against them. 1, 2, 3, 4, included 4 in a row at Twerton Park. We've got nothing to fear on history in that respect.
Oh, God.
Well, we have. And they're going to be worried about us. No two ways about it. I know they're tight at the back at the moment, but a mate of mine down there, he said, against was it Dartford on Saturday? You mentioned there, Jake. They played really, really well early on, got a goal up. But he said Dartford really came back at them late on, and Bath were hanging on.
Yeah, from the comments I've seen from Dartford fans online, a lot of them actually came away from the game fairly positive considering the result, and that's mostly because they were very happy with their second half display and they were creating quite a lot of chances towards the end. I mean, you talk about Partington there. What do we do if he's not available? I mean, the match preview last week said maybe 2 to 3 weeks. If he's not out, do we go with the same defence potentially? I know it's kept a clean sheet. It wasn't amazing, but I probably would be against changing it massively myself. If Michael Clark's got to stay in that central position, then give him another game there. we know he's a confidence player. I'm sure he'll pick up. And alongside him, I don't really see changing much else. I suppose the only other question, Lee, like you suggest, is could we see someone come in on the left and see Zane Banton pushed into a different position?
We do wonder. Sam Brown was on the bench Saturday, so presumably he's fit enough to return. The only other player you would have thought who could come in, apart from a new guy, would be Nathan Carlisle, but there's rumours of the club looking to put him out on loan. But sure or not, I don't know. So there's a couple of possibilities there, but I'd be very surprised if they did change it.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to say, we have got quite a lot of riches, don't we, now at the back? Compare it to after we had all our defenders injured in Chelmsford back in September. To come back now and have the options we have is absolutely brilliant. So I think the fans will have faith in whoever comes back into the team, but it'll be interesting to see what John Meakes does. And I wonder if we might see, if he does have to make a change at all at the back, whether it might be a bit more a tactical one if we can sort of exploit any of Bath's weaknesses.
Marvellous, Jake. Well said. Right, are we done with Bath? Because we've got another game next Tuesday. We're down on another coast. I know Bath's not on the coast, but you know what I mean. Down on the Kent coast, Dover Athletic. Talk about Taunton having problems. Dover take it to another level, don't they?
I'm glad you mentioned that game, Dave, because again, it was another one of those games I totally forgotten was happening. So,
but you're going.
I know. So, this is the worry.
It's outrageous.
I know. Yeah, Dave, I say they've had a dreadful season. I think it's probably the summary. And what was their score on Saturday against Worthing? 6-4?
Well, they scored 4 times, didn't they? And they got 4 in the County Cup midweek as well. There you go. Yeah.
So we're playing them at the wrong time then.
Yeah, but they did let in 6. Well, Ollie Pearce, wasn't it? If you got Ollie Pearce on the pitch at the moment for Worthing, he's making Jeffers look a right slouch.
Well, and it was worth mentioning. Dover scored all 4 after Worthing's goalkeeper went off with a suspected broken ankle, and they put the backup keeper in. So don't know if that was any factor.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Again, Dover. You probably remember the game down at the Crabble, don't you? Last season, Dave, that 1-1 that we should have won about 4-1. Again, on that day, we played really good football, didn't we? So. Next few games, we've got a template now, don't we? We've got a template of style of play and an approach to games that why change things? It's working really well at the minute. Both of these games, one's trickier than the other. But if we apply ourselves in both, like we have been, I can see us again picking up a good number of points from these 2 games.
It's funny you say that, Jake, because I came over from Clarence Park, somewhat frustrated, as you may have noticed, last Saturday. But the game at the Crabble last season, the result was disappointing because we dominated them. They got levelled and they nearly snatched it right at the end. It's ridiculous. But that was a terrific attack-minded performance, thoroughly enjoyable. And didn't win, but hey ho, it's a good day. I really can't see Dover ending their slump next Tuesday. But that said, they didn't do too badly down the park. Was it 2-1 or something? 2-0. One of them, which was a goalkeeping error, was it not?
Yes, it was. Yes,
yeah. From Mitchell Weishart, I think it was. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, yes. It was. But again, we've got to go into both of these games confident, haven't we? Dover
hold any fears for you, Lee?
No, not at all. I think if we don't pick up the 3 points against Dover, that's very much a disappointing result. It's points dropped. They're there for the taking. Yeah, okay, they're scoring goals, but as you say, Taz, they are shipping them in great number as well. So, and we spoke about all of our Arsenal. I can't see Dover holding us out at all.
No, goals. Yeah, had a little flurry lately. Before was against Beckenham Town in the County Cup, and a freak because the other team has an injured goalkeeper, or didn't have a proper goalkeeper, as Jake said. Before that, they scored 3 in 6 games, so they're not exactly prolific in front of goal.
No, it has to be said, we talk about Dover not having a good season, what they are 12 points adrift, aren't they, at bottom of the table with more games played than everyone else. They are in a bad position. I say, Lee, you said, got to be winning this, haven't we, on Tuesday night against Dover? Forget Bath for a minute. You've got to be looking to win whatever the result on Saturday. Yeah,
12 adrift of the first position outside the playoffs, which is Taunton Town. And
outside the playoffs? Goodness me.
What?
Is it not called a playoff?
Relegation playoffs.
Is that what it is? Should be. Right, place outside the relegation zone. Then we go for that. Right, let's do some predictions. Bath. Go on then, Lee. Let you go first. Don't give us a rugby score.
Well, it's a bit hard to. Right, okay. Bath away. I'm going to go 2-2.
Is high score in the game for you, Jake?
I'll go for a reverse for Bath. Let's go 1-0 Saints. Let's reverse their run.
Oh, very good. Yes, yes.
There you go.
Well, we always win there. So, sorry, Mark and Dave. We'll see you Saturday, but you're going to be going home having lost 2-1 to the super mighty Saints. And Kent on Tuesday, Dover. Who wants to go first on that one?
I can't see anything less than at least a 3-0 win for City.
Oh. Well, my first thought was 4-1 Saints.
4-1. Well, I was going to go 3-0, but Michael Johnson must be due an injury by now, so we just go for a 3-2 win.
Hello, MJ. Yeah.
Joking, MJ, joking. Right, well, I think we're predicting points aplenty there, really. As we're heading. Well, actually, if you look at it, we're 5 points clear. Team outside the playoffs now. I know Braintree got a couple of games in hand, but this position we got ourselves into, 14 games to go. Doesn't it smack of last season all over again?
Well, I hope it doesn't end in the same way, obviously, but I think it just goes to sort of show what a good job Meakes has done in sort of continuing the run. But not only that, I think, Jake, you used the phrase taking the shackles off or whatever it is. You know, he's really elevated this team now to yet another level. But the one thing that's been our undoing this season and probably the last 4 or 5 seasons, just consistency, that continuity in performance and results. And I think slowly but surely, whisper it quietly, granted, but I think Meakes has sort of got us up to that level now where we can look further ahead and think, we you know what, we don't fear them. We don't fear them. We're playing this way. He's scoring, he's contributing. So I think it's a really, really good place for us to be in.
Well, might as well address the subject of John Meakes then. We saw Harry Wheeler when he came in as manager a few years back. His first 3 games, 2 wins and a draw. Thought, hello, Harry's a boy. That quickly went wrong. John Meakes made a great start now. 2 wins, 2 draws. And let's face it, 3 of those are pretty much the toughest games you're going to get this season. Should the club be looking to appoint him now, even for the rest of the season? And does he want it anyway?
Interesting, isn't it? I get the feeling he wants it. I think you saw the celebrations again, well, at Torquay and also again at full time on Saturday against Taunton. He looks to be really enjoying it. What was noticeable on Saturday, and I've mentioned this to a few people actually, was how proactive he is on the touchline during the game. Much more so when we saw David Noble, you know, he had his own techniques and management, but a lot of time he spent it crossed-armed, sort of watching it there. But I thought John Meakes was really proactive. I noticed even during the first half, he pulled Jake Berger up and started pointing to him and presumably telling him, this is what I want you doing when you come on later on today, or this is what I want you doing if we need to call upon you at any point, pointing out players. Brilliant. It's really proactive. It's really good to see. And it's also good for John Meakes, and it's really great about the club, is how much Meakes is embracing it as well. He seems to be really enjoying it, really getting behind the fans. His post-match interviews, quite a lot of comments online to talk about how much more enjoyable his post-match interviews are.
No, really?
I know.
Good Lord.
But you just have to look at the basic facts, don't you? 4 toughish games, 11 goals, 1 conceded. It's not bad at all, is it? Even if it's just till the end of the season.
Should they make that appointment now, or should we let it drift like we did with Nobby and eventually give it to him? Or should we say everybody else, stop putting your CVs in. We're going to go with John, at least for the rest of the season.
I think that would make sense. I think that would make sense in terms to sort of give it to John for the rest of the season. I think it would be extremely suicidal to bring someone else in at this level, this crucial period of the entire season. I think, John alluded to it, that Lawrence is sort of in constant contact with him to discuss the outcome of it all. I don't think we need to look too far ahead in the future. if I'm honest. I don't think the talk about people coming in or new managers or contracts, I don't think that's going to upset anyone just yet. I think the players are very much sort of focused on their job in hand. Meakes certainly won't let it affect the wider team dynamic, which is fantastic. And Jake, yes, we laugh about it, mate, but how refreshing is it to have some insight into how the team is unfolding in these post matches? I was absolutely just, bewildered by the content that the club continue to put out on behalf of David Noble post match. But I think now what you are beginning to see is a real insight into the inner sort of workings of how he gets the best out of these players and how he goes about his business. We've got a fans forum in a week's time. Good questions that you're going to sort of ask him. And the fact of the matter is, I don't see any reason to upset the apple cart just yet by, continually rumours about who's going to come in, who's going to sort of take over. No one's going to take over now before the end of the season. The Dillings is going to get done in the summer. That's what it's there for. I don't think the club is going to benefit in any way, shape or form if you upset the status quo now.
I think that's the way most people are thinking. Looked at results, looked at performances, and they're thinking, what's the point of changing it? Nothing to be gained, really, you wouldn't have thought. It's only going to unsettle the players. They certainly seem happy enough at the moment.
Yeah, they're enjoying it. And Lee, you talk about refreshing. How refreshing is it to actually see a manager celebrate the wins as well and enjoying the performances at full time? David Noble, he wasn't always the most expressive, was he? It has to be said at times. And it's just nice to see Meaksy enjoying it and getting the fans behind it, and the fans are buying into it. It's not all just for us old curmudgeons who have been here, not long myself, but you two a long time. But the younger fans as well, they're really getting into it now, aren't they? They're really enjoying it. And that's really good to see. And it's no surprise this is a good crowd of 1,600 on Saturday at Taunton Town at home. A few years ago we'd have been dreaming of that, wouldn't we? So really, really good.
I'm not sure you're still a junior, Jake. You've been suffering down a park now, getting on for 20 years, isn't it? About 19 years, something like that.
I think you're right, actually, which is a terrifying thought.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, but you speak about this, it's not cheap to go watch City. Obviously, some of us pay a lot less than others. But the thing is, it's not cheap an away day. You know what I mean? To go down to Torquay, that's a good couple of £100 all in, hotels and trains and whatnot. Even if you go into home games, when you go and invest an afternoon to go and watch the Mighty Saints, you want to see that interaction. That's what people want. Yes, they want performances and they want results and they want to win, of course. But they want that connection between the people who are putting on the show as well. And I think Meaksy is refreshing. If he keeps doing the fist pumps, he's going to put his hip out, the poor fella. But, I would rather that happen because it's signs of positivity that we're going places. And there's someone at the helm, at the wheel, who wants to drive us there as well. So I'm all for that, mate, all day.
At the end of last week, it was announced that Kieran Wiltshire had signed dual registration with Hendon. They were due to play Wealdstones. He'd had Lee Anderson and Ian Anderson facing David Noble in the FA Trophy last Saturday, but the weather won that tie. No doubt you two have got a date when it's going to be replayed. I haven't looked. But Kieran ended up back down the park Saturday, didn't he? He took part in the pre-match warm-up. You probably spotted him, Jake.
Yeah, it's good to see him down there, wasn't it? We've been hearing about his come back for a few more weeks now recently and how he's getting on. And it's really good to see him back. And I think it's a good decision to loan him out. We know Hendon, they've had a reasonable season so far. They're playing some decent football from what I've seen on Twitter and social media. And he knows the Allansons as well. They will know not to push him if he's uncomfortable. It's a long way back from the sort of injury he's had. So really good to see him back. Don't know if we'll see him in the Saints team this season. Maybe if he can contribute at some point, that'd be amazing. But it's just good to see Kieran back, isn't it? Because he had such a brilliant season last season. And he's been a brilliant leader for the club, hasn't he? Over so many years he's been here now, 3-4 years. It's great to see him out there training. And hopefully he can kick on and have a really good spell at Hendon.
Also involved in the warm-up was Romeo Akinola. We've not seen for a couple of years now. So it looks like he's close to playing, whether it's us or whether he goes off elsewhere to get full fitness. Quick chat with Ben White, who was in the stand. He had his operation recently, which was successful. He started rehab. He's a little way off playing yet, but heading in the right direction and seemed quite cheerful as well.
Brilliant. That's good. I mean,
Yeah,
Ben's
wouldn't it be
had
nice
such...
if I don't know, wouldn't it be nice if a club actually gave that update on the injuries and all these players and how they're doing instead of relying on us?
They
to
don't
it.
need to,
we
Taz. They
don't
talk
mind.
to you, mate. So they don't need to, stop the website. They talk to the man who they want to talk to. And that's obviously Dave Tavener.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, I think you two speak to them more than I do. Right. Are we done?
Just about, I think. Lee, have you got anything you want to add?
One thing I would say is thank you so much to everyone who continues to watch. The numbers have been really, really encouraging on our podcast over the last few weeks. I know that young Jacob is working his magic behind the scenes, and what I believe we're soon going to be on streaming platforms and Spotify's and whatnot. So look out for that. But thank you so much for everyone who does tune in, and thank you for the comments worldwide as well. So do keep those coming in. Young Jacob is going to tell you all the information you need to get in touch with us.
Yes, at Podful of Saints on Twitter, email description below. You can also comment below. I saw we had a couple of comments from one of our American listeners last week asking about Weatherspoons. They'd never heard it before, so they had to Google it. So we're enriching people's lives here. This is clearly what we're doing. But yeah, get involved. And as Lee said, hopefully we'll be on other platforms shortly if Lee could put his finger out and do his bit of the work. And
you threw me under the bus there, mate, didn't you?
Nice I know.
Hey, that's what he does. Was my back too hard for your knife, my friend? Goodness me.
And I think that is it. Dave, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, just that we all look so much better on Spotify than we do on here, won't we?
Thank you for that. True. The perfect finish. Right, we will speak to you again next week after the Saints surely pick up 6 points. Come on, you Saints. Bye-bye, everyone.